Hello, how are you, Larissa? How's everything going?
Hello, teacher. I'm fine, thank you.
Great, that's great to know. So let's continue working on this document, Larissa. We need to keep working on the next paragraphs. I think we finished with this part, right? We were talking about these elements, these residues, food waste, farm sludge, and sewage. And we learned that we can use those elements to release, well, they release biogas, and we can produce, right, methane with those elements and biomethane. And this is the last part that we read, right? So we're going to continue by reading this part, please, Larissa, and continue analyzing together. Okay, let's read these elements, please.
Okay, it's an opportunity to find sources of energy other than the natural gas supplied by Russia and thereby distance ourselves from Vladimir Putin's regime. No, regime. He argues the best thing is if you can make the gas, but put put it in and replace Putin. European governments have faced a difficult scenario since Russia launched its invasion of Ukraine. On one hand, introducing sanctions against Putin's regime, wealthy businessmen close to him, while on the other continue to buy millions of dollars of gas every day from Russia. Europe gets roughly 40% of its natural gas from Russia. Some countries have been reluctant to follow the US in imposing a ban on import of Russian fossil fuels.
All right, thank you very much, Larissa. So, before understanding everything, all right, we're going to repeat these words over here, please. Again, the mistakes are very little. In this
Mhm.
part, only this U, like you, so it's going to be argues,
Argues,
argues. This is from argument, right? An argument to have a negative idea, all right, and you fight with someone, but with words. Okay, that's to argue, or simply to show a statement. Okay, to show something that you think. Argue, to argue something, to say something. And in this one, let's read one more time, please. These two words, Larissa.
European governments,
Okay, I think this is good. Yes, the stress was different, but governments good. This A is going to be like E, so
European,
European. Good, very good. This also was good, but these two words. Let's read this one more time. How do you read this word, Larissa?
launch,
Uh-huh. It's not wrong again, but it's better if that a sounds a little bit more like o, and these two words a and u become o. Launched. Okay, launched.
launched,
Okay, good. This a has to be a, so it's going to be invasion.
invasion,
Good. This one, how do you read this word?
Ukraine,
It's actually, this is the same logic here. So if this was invasion, this is going to be
Ukraine,
Ukraine. Exactly. Ukraine. Good. Then here, you read this good. Okay. There was not mistake here, Larissa. But here the stress was different. How do you read this word one more time?
uh, regime. I don't have regime.
Regime, regime, exactly, good. So here you read it regime, but here you read it in the first part like regime. Okay, but it's going to be in the middle, regime. It's okay. Let's repeat one more time, please, Larissa. Regime.
regime,
Good. This also was good. Is only this Larissa, that in this case is going to be more like a reluctant, reluctant.
reluctant,
Good. And finally, this one. Remember, if it's not a, what is it going
feel,
to be? You. So how is this one?
feels.
Feels, exactly, right? So feel, and so on. Okay, so good. There you go. Those are the words. Now, before getting into more detail, Larissa, how can you explain these paragraphs to me? What is the main information here?
Mm, 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 mm. I don't. I don't understand very well. So, yeah.
Let's understand together. Look, we're going to divide this one in some words, or actually, let's understand it in order. So here, we are talking about natural gas that is being supplied by whom? Or by, yes, by whom, let's say by Russian people, okay, by Russia. So they depend, right? Remember the title? It was food waste and the dependence, right, on natural gas. And we learned that some elements, for example, food waste, farm sludge, and sewage, that we can use those as alternative to create natural gas, right? And why? This is my question here, Larissa. Why are they looking for alternatives to replace natural gas? And why do you believe that here they are talking about Russia and the natural gas supplied by Russia?
Because they depend of Russia, and Russia in this moment is in a war with Ukraine.
Good, exactly, right? Europe doesn't agree with Russia. Europe is in favor of Ukraine, right? But even they are in Ukraine's favor, right? They are still buying gas from Russia. So that's why they say, right, this is an opportunity to find sources of energy other than the natural gas supplied by Russia. Okay, so here they are only saying that we are talking about this, okay, we're talking about food waste because this is an opportunity to do something different and not to depend on Russia. Okay, and also to distance, right, to distance Europe from Vladimir Putin's regime, right? That's what they want to do, okay? They don't want to depend on their gas and they want to distance themselves, right, from Vladimir. So that's the first part. The second part is related. Let's try to talk about this one just with some words. For example, how can you explain this part? They are mentioning sanctions against Putin's regime. So, what do you know about those sanctions, Larissa, or what can you tell me about that, just with common sense?
Mm, mm, Sasha again. Sunshine. It's like maybe the price of European have to pay.
All right, it's related to that one, but actually, more than Europe, is Europe that is sanctioning Russia. Okay, it's sanctioning the Putin's regime. And why? I mean, why is Europe sanctioning Russia, Larissa?
Mm, uh, I'm not sure for the war.
Yes, it's directly related to that. Everything is going to be related to the war, right? Everything is related to the war. So it means that Europe, right? We're talking about France, we're talking about England, we're talking about Spain, okay? Europe governments, okay, are introducing sanctions against, right, en contra, against Putin's regime and wealthy businessmen close to him. Okay, so they are giving him sanctions, right? And how can you explain the word sanction, Larissa? How do you explain sanction?
Mm, I have say like
Or you
I
can give
don't
me examples as well. If it's not possible to explain, perhaps an example. What is to give a sanction on something or on someone?
mm, for example, if Russia is broken the rules, maybe, or doing something bad, wrong.
That is correct. That's the first step, right? The first step to receive a sanction is that there is someone or there is something that is doing something negative, right? In this case, yes, Russia is breaking the rules. Russia is not following the international law. Okay, but let's say there's a country that is doing something negative, right? And then what is the consequence when a country does something negative? Larissa, what do you say? What are these governments or what is the world doing to Russia because of its behavior?
Mm, they have to do something. In this case, this is wealthy. What is mean wealthy?
Wealthy means a person with a lot of money. Okay, so
Uh-huh.
millionaires or billionaires.
Mm,
For example, let's talk about this McDonald's, right? You know that there's no McDonald's in Bolivia, but there was McDonald's in Russia, right? What
mhm.
happened to McDonald's in Russia, Larissa? Have you heard about that? To what happened to
Yes,
McDonald's in Russia? What happened?
they they close in Russia.
Okay, exactly. So international brands are closing. That's a sanction, right? A sanction can be that they are not going to offer their brands, they are not going to offer their products to Russia, right? That's one sanction. Also, I think Facebook, Instagram, right? They are not working and they are also not giving their services to Russia. That's also a sanction. Also, they are not importing other elements, other, let's say, important goods, right? Goods like bienes. All right, so those are sanctions, right? So they are giving Russia economic sanctions, right? Economic sanctions, and they are also giving other types of sanctions, but mainly economical, right? To Putin's regime and to wealthy businessmen. It means that they are affecting Russia negatively, right, with those economic sanctions. But at the same time, right, Europe is doing that. Europe is giving sanctions to Putin. But what are they doing at the same time? It's in the next part, Larissa. They are giving Russia economic sanctions, but there is something contradictory. Hay algo contradictorio pasando después. What is that thing, Larissa?
Mm, wealthy businessmen are close to Putin's regime.
Good. And actually, but these wealthy men, they are also receiving the sanction. All right. So European governments are introducing sanctions to
Okay,
Putin's
okay.
regime, okay, and also to wealthy businessmen. Okay, that's why they want to harm, dañar. Okay, they want to harm Russia's economy. Okay, quieren dañar la economía de Rusia, right? But while, now this is the second part. Okay, what is happening at the same time?
The other country continue buy gas from Russia, and that means millions of dollars.
Exactly. And what do you think? We're going to close with that one, Larissa, but what do you think about that? Do you think that that's logic? Europe is giving sanctions, economic sanctions to Russia, but at the same time, Europe is still buying millions and millions of dollars of gas from Russia. So, and they are doing this at the same time, right? That's why this is what we learned yesterday, if you remember, right? That is a while. So, on the one hand, they are introducing sanctions, and on the other hand, they are buying millions of dollars of gas. To finish this one, I just want your comment on that one. What do you think about that, Larissa?
Yes, there are no halves, and the votes are looking their interests, maybe.
Correct. Good, exactly. You can say for, right? They are both looking for their interests. Good. And the expression is better if you say it in this way, Larissa. It doesn't make sense. Okay, it doesn't make sense. Yes, I agree, right? It doesn't make sense. Europe will have, right? The entire Europe governments have their interests, and also Russia, they have, right? Russian people, they have their interests. And that's why this is a nonsense, all right? I just want to give you the meaning of some words here. Roughly means approximately, right? So Europe gets approximately 40% of its natural gas from Russia. And that's why Europe depends on Russia. And at the same time, they give them sanctions, and at the same time, they buy gas from them. And that's why, okay, because of this 40%, they have been reluctant. What is to be reluctant? Not wanting to do something. Okay, when you don't want to do something, Larissa, you are reluctant to do that. All right, for example, when you don't want to buy ice cream, you can say that you are reluctant to buy ice cream. Okay, so some countries in Europe are reluctant to follow the United States to impose a ban on imports of Russia fossil fuels. Why? Because they depend on that gas. Okay, that's why they don't want to ban, they don't want to prohibit, limit the imports because they depend on those imports. Okay, and that's it. I wanted to analyze those words together. I want to know if you have any questions about any words before finishing, Larissa. Let me know, please.
A ban. Ban is like
To
ban
ban, yes, tell me, Larissa.
ban on imports.
To ban something is doing this. Okay, it's going to be easier if I do this. This is to ban something, right? That is something banned. Okay, it's something prohibited. It's something that you cannot do. Okay, so the US, for example, Larissa, it's like a sanction also. Okay, a ban is a sanction. The US now is imposing a ban on imports of Russia. It means that the US, okay, the US is not importing anything from Russia. That's a ban, okay? They cannot import. And actually Russians cannot export to the United States. But in Europe, okay, some countries don't want to ban, okay, don't want to prohibit. It's like prohibir, all right, prohibir imports because they depend on Russia. Okay, that's to ban something, to prohibit something, or not allow something to happen.
Okay.
All right. I don't know if you have any other questions. Let me know, please.
No, teacher, I don't have.
Okay, good. Let's finish up here then. Again, as you can see, every article can be very complex if we try to understand every word, but it's interesting that you can also do that by yourself, Larissa. So if you have the time, we're finishing with this article today. Next week, we're going to work with something different. But my advice again is try to finish reading these articles that I give you so that you can gain some extra vocabulary. And if you have any questions about this one, you can also let me know. All right?
Okay, teacher.
Good. So to finish, please, as always, the usual, let's answer the questions from that survey, and that's it. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow, Larissa.
Thank you, teacher. See you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
teacher. Good night.
Hello, good evening, Wilson. How are you? Is everything okay?
Yeah, yes, teacher.
Great. That's great to know, Wilson. So we need to continue working on this article. If you remember, this is an article from the BBC about waste food and the reliance that Europe has to natural gas, right? And we were discussing about some details. So before going to the next part, Wilson, try to tell me, please, what you remember about this article.
Uh, I can't remember because the past Thursday I didn't enter to the meeting.
All right. Yes, you're right, Wilson. So then let's start this one together. All right. It means that we're going to be working on this article, Wilson, today and Tuesday. All right. But again, I already gave you then the introduction, Wilson. This is going to be our, let's say, practice today and next Tuesday. And it's about that. All right. Food waste or waste food and natural gas. But let's read the title actually. Let's read the headline, Wilson, to understand everything together. All right. Read that
Okay.
one, please.
How waste food can reduce our reliance on natural gas.
Okay, thank you very much. Only this word, please. It's going to be reliance.
Reliance.
Reliance. Good. So, how can you explain this in your own words? If I ask you, right, then what is the article going to be about? Just by reading this headline, Wilson, what do you say?
Waste food is um, the extra food that we I don't know to explain the extra food when we eat and some extra foods.
Yes, you were going to say a sentence, I think, that we don't eat, right? And that's good. It's the food, okay? It's parts of the food, parts of some elements that are eaten that we don't eat, right? For example,
Okay.
when you eat a banana, you peel the banana, right? You don't eat the skin. You don't eat that one, okay? You have to peel it. So that's going to be that peel, that's going to be food waste, all right? Or waste food. So it's the leftover also, okay? You can use that one. I'm going to write it in the chat. Um, Wilton, all right? And also you can call them residues, okay? Leftover or residues. So yes,
Residues. Okay.
that's food waste, okay? So how that one can reduce our reliance on natural gas? What do you say? What is the logic here, Wilson?
I think the waste foods reliance first. I can't. I don't know what's that mean. Teacher
Okay,
reliance.
to rely on something is when you trust something or when you depend on something. Okay, you can say, for example, that you have a reliance on your computer to finish your thesis. Okay, so you depend on your computer. So here, in other words, it's dependence. Okay, reliance means dependence. So how residues, okay, how leftovers residues can reduce our dependence on natural gas?
Okay. So the waste food it's important because um, in I don't know, in Bolivia, for example, we depend uh, on natural gas, and year how can I say año tras año?
You can say in year after year.
Okay, year after year rise our dependence of natural gas and waste food. It could be I don't want to finish my explanation, but I can't finish, teacher.
Okay,
Sorry.
let me help you out because you're doing great. Okay, the first explanation I think is very, very good. I just have one observation. Instead of saying this one, okay, rises our dependence on this one is better. Remember, in English, it's always better to use always the subject first. So you're going to say, year after year, our dependence on natural gas rises. Okay, so rises, that is the main verb, is going to be at the end. All right, in Spanish, sometimes you can say first the verb, right, and then the subject. For example, existen personas, right, or you can say aumenta la gente, right, or la producción. But that's going to be hard in English. In English, it's better if you say the production rises, okay? The people, all right, are there. So it's better to always put the subject first, okay? That's the only thing. The rest, it was good. Now let me help you out. How do you think, okay, how can we use waste food to not to depend on natural gas? What do you think is the purpose of this article? Very briefly, how do you think we are going to use waste food to reduce this dependence, Wilson?
I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking to burning the waste food, but no, that has sense.
Good, but it's one idea, okay? So it's good. You can tell me that one, and actually, it's not something illogic. It may be something similar, perhaps not burning, but they are going to do something with the waste food. But what do you think is the idea? Do you think that they want to use this to replace natural gas? Or do you think that they want to use waste food as something else so that we don't need natural gas? What do you think is more or less the idea? You don't need to tell me the process, but what do you think is the idea? Do they want to use the waste food or is it something different?
I think it's something different. No, replace our dependence, but I don't know. Exist or exist some process to use our waste foods to help the diminution
The reduction, you can say, perhaps the
reduction, but I don't know what's the process.
Good. That's good. That's the answer that I was looking for, right? And that's the answer actually, all right? We don't need to mention the process because perhaps we are not experts and we don't know these words, but that's the thing, okay? We're going to follow a process, perhaps with waste foods, to use it, all right? But also one more time, the only observation there, Wilson, remember, if you say exist some process, that's going to be again, right, the same mistake, because first you have the verb and then you have the subject, right? And that's going to be a mistake, right? So it's better if you say some processes, okay, some processes for waste foods exist, okay? Or
Okay.
the best way, o si quieres decir, la única manera de decir eso antes del verbo es con la expresión there are, ¿ya? There are significa hay o existe y es la única expresión que significa como un verbo que se puede poner antes de un objeto. Okay, so you can say there are some processes, all right, related to waste foods. One option, okay, es la primera opción. Or, si vas a usar existir, tienen que ser después. Some processes related to waste food exist, and we can use those processes, all right, to create energy with that food, and so on and so forth. All right, that's the idea and the recommendation, Wilson. I don't know if you have any questions about that.
No, no, teacher.
Okay, let's keep going then. Again, this is going to be the introduction. I know we have a lot of new words here, Wilson. So again, let's try to understand the overall idea. Let's read that one, please.
As gas prices hit record highs, one renewable alternative to fossil fuel gas comes from food waste, farm sludge, and sewage.
Very good. Thank you, Wilson. Yes, and the last one was good. Sewage. Let's work this one. Only these three words, please, Wilson. This is going to be renewable. Renewable.
Okay, renewable.
Good. It means that you can use it again and again, right? Something renewable. This is, for example, renewable energy, right? This is an alternative for fossil fuels. And here you have alternative, fossil, and remember this, instead of U, it has to be EU, so fuel.
Okay, fuel.
Fuel, good. And this, so the U in English, Wilson, it's most of the time, not all of the time, going to be EU, or it's going to be A. Okay, sometimes EU, sometimes A. So in this case, it's fuel, and in this case, it's going to be a sludge. Okay, let's repeat that one, please.
Fuel and sludge.
A sludge, good. So a sludge usually is the ground when it rains, right? When it rains and the ground gets wet, that's a sludge, right? That's a sludge. Okay, the ground being like that. But in this case, farm sludge refers also to residues. Okay, the farm sludge is the residue of many processes done in a farm. You know that in a farm you have many animals, and you have to feed the animals, and you have to grow plants, okay, and grow products, okay, and the residues, and I think the result of some of those residues is going to give the farm sludge. Okay, it's a special sludge, so it's also a residue. Food waste is a residue, farm sludge is a residue, and sewage, that was very good, it's also residue, right? This is the residual water. Okay, residual water. So you have residues of food, residues of farms, and residues or residual water. All right, I don't know if you understand more or less these three elements, Wilson.
Yes, but I don't know if farm sludge is just dirt. It's just, or
it's more than
it
that.
has another things.
Yeah, let me show you, all right, because it's a little bit different because this is very specific, all right? It is very, very specific. Look, for example, this is farm sludge. I'm going to show you the picture, okay? And here, this farm sludge is a mixture of many, many things. It's not only dirty, okay, but it's the residues of many things that happen in a farm. All right, of many things. For example, here it says, right, pig farm digested sludge dewatering. So it's part of many processes, all right, and the residue of those processes is going to be this farm sludge, all right, or sewage sludge. But again, as you can see, they use these elements also, if you know, Wilson, and I'm sure you know, to grow plants. Okay, very similar to manure, because manure is abono, similar. Okay, not the same, no lo mismo, but similar.
Okay.
All right, that's going to be farm sludge. And sewage, okay, it's related to this one, farm sludge and sewage. They are talking about farm. But if you only want to know about sewage, again, it's residual water, right? And the sewage goes on the sewers. All right, and a sewer is going to be this one, right? This is a sewer, and this is the sewage, the residual.
Ah,
All right.
okay.
So you have all these elements. This is residue, this is residue, and this is residue. So with that explained, Wilson, how can you explain this one, these elements over here, with that explanation, this one over
Uh, all the residues is, I don't know
here?
how to
Residues,
pronounce
the residues.
residues.
Uh-huh.
Okay, all the residues. We can transform it. We can, yes, we can use it. It's like an alternative energy, I think. Um, I don't know if we can do a chemistry process, but I don't know what's the process, but it's an alternative.
Yes, that is correct. And about the process, that's something we're going to see on Tuesday. Okay, on Tuesday, we're going to keep reading Wilson, and you're going to see here what is the process to obtain energy, because they are going to obtain energy from these three elements. Okay, and the explanation was good. This is an alternative energy, all right, a renewable energy alternative. And only two observations over there, Wilson. Remember, as you were mentioning, not only one but three. Okay, three processes. Instead of use it, it's better if you say use them. Right? We can use them, those elements. We can use them to produce alternative energy. Okay, we can use them to produce alternative energy. Right? Something that is renewable, and if it's renewable, it means it's also good for the environment, right? It's also
Yeah.
good for the environment, because fossil fuel, it's not good. But that's it. I don't know if you have any questions before finishing today about the process, Wilson. We're going to learn here in the next paragraphs on Tuesday. All right. But up to this part, do you have any questions?
No.
Very good.
Interesting. I didn't know it. Didn't know that process.
Great. It's also good, right? Because besides learning English, it's interesting to learn something new, right? And also here you have a lot of new vocabulary: food waste, farm sludge, and sewage. And here you're going to learn even more vocabulary. But again, the main idea is that you can expand those words that you know, Wilson, and little by little, you're going to be able to talk about anything, all right, with these articles. But that's going to be it for today then, Wilson. I'm going to ask you, please, as always, to fill out the questions from the survey and let me know when you do it, please.
Okay. I don't know where is. I am. I am using my cell phone and.
Okay, there must be, I think, three dots more. Creo que una opción con tres puntos que dice más. And there
Sí.
you must be able to see. Ahí debería haber la opción de encuesta o eh, eh, polls. I don't know if it's in English, está en inglés. Or something similar, o algo similar debería haber.
Yes, I found it.
You found it? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I don't.
Great. There you go. So thank you very much again, Wilson. I'll see you tomorrow in class. And next week, we're going to continue working with this. Okay?
Okay, teacher. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye, teacher.